Hey folks, Jonathan here. Cylinder off of the right side of my backhoe, CK580B case, and this was the one that was leaking real bad. And somebody has had to cut off and welded on before. Don't know why. And you can see where this has been heated before. I tried to get the gland off, wouldn't come off. I had some major issues with trying to grab it. It's been chopped on and worked on before. Anyway, so I took the cylinder off and carried it to a friend of mine's. He's got a table set up just for doing hydraulic cylinders, and we put it up on there and we tried to turn it and was getting ready to weld something to it to get it, you know, where we could grip on it and turn it. And he asked me if it was bent, and I said, you know, I don't know, I don't think it is. But anyway, so we put some hydraulic pressure on it and extended it out, and as you can see, it's actually like a banana. My neighbor's shooting. Oop, give it a minute. We don't have any trouble with nobody shooting around here. We do it ourselves every once in a while. It's nice to let your neighbors know you're around and you got guns. But so anyway, there you go. Cylinder's bent like a banana. So I'll show you what I've done. Okay, so my skid steer, I went and bought a 188 diesel, or actually traded for it from a friend of mine a long time ago, and the backhoe that I took the 188 out was exactly like this, 580B, and it is still sitting in the same spot it was sitting, and it's a parts machine. The transmission was gone, and so I was able to go get this cylinder, and the cylinder absolutely cost me $0. This was Bobby, Maine, which you may remember we sort of got together and fixed his truck when he wrecked. And so we've got a cylinder on, got it all greased up and ready to go, no leaking. I figured worse comes worse, I could build the cylinder, but it don't seem to be leaking at all, working good. So after fixing the steering and fixing the cylinder, that left us with one thing, and that was the end of bell housing leaking oil. So, you know, my thought was from the beginning is I was going to have to split it, and isn't that right, baby girl? But from the beginning I was going to have to split it, and because it's leaking out of the starter and running through the starter and leaking out. But after doing a little research, I find out that that is actually a wet bell housing, and it's actually got clutch packs in it, and it's supposed to be wet. And the problem is not the oil in it. The problem is it's got the wrong starter on it, and that starter should be a wet starter, which is a sealed starter. And so what I've done is I've ordered the right starter for it. Let me show you that. So anyway, here's our starter. This is a sealed starter, which it's gear reduction anyway, so it probably would be sealed, even though it is going on a tractor that has to be sealed. But the originals would have been a regular starter with seals in the front to keep the oil from leaking through. And this one just so happened to be... Baby girl, what's wrong? Oh, gunshots. Okay. I was trying to think of why she was leaning up on me. She usually don't do that too often. Anyway, so this is what's called a wet starter, and it's made to have oil inside the bell housing. So as you can see, it's machined really nice and smooth. So we've got a gasket for that, and we'll get the starter off, get this on. We're going to get the system drained really well and get all the water and nasty out of it. And I think what has happened was somebody has sealed up the shifter boot pretty good, because that's where the water comes in at. The problem is I don't think they could get the plug out of the bell housing, because I couldn't get it out. So one way or the other we'll get it out, even if I have to drill it, and that way we can drain everything, get it all cleaned out good, and then we'll put new fluid back in it. We should be good to go. You know, there's some little wiring issues and stuff like that. As you can see, this is the intake heater, and it's not hooked up. And I'll probably just undo it and leave it unhooked because it starts good. Okay folks, here's our starter we pulled and our new starter. And as you see, I don't know how many teeth that one is. It's different teeth. but that don't mean anything. That just means that the offset could be different. This could be closer, smaller tooth, still got the same pitch or pitch diameter on the gear, so it should still work. We hope. We're going to see. And this is supposed to be correct for that machine. And like I said, this one was leaking. It was leaking out the bottom all the way through. It was just pouring everywhere. So we're going to go get something to clean up the surface of the engine or the bell housing, and then get our gasket and get sealed up and get this new starter on and hope that the gears work out. I've ran into this before, and because this is a gear reduction starter, you know, it's going to turn at a different speed, so sometimes they offset the shaft different and make the gear smaller or larger. Okay folks, I've got the starter on. I'm going to short it across, see if it starts. I'm going to rewire this machine. The wiring is in terrible shape on it. It's a definite fire hazard, so we'll see what happens. I've got the battery hooked up, everything on. I haven't tried it yet. We're going to see what happens here. Wish me luck and hope for the best here. I'm just going to short it across. And yeah, it's absolutely in neutral. I always double check that. I'm going to wait and see if we get some fluid out of it. I don't see anything leaking yet. Okay, I drove it around a little bit. Not a single drip. Alright, that's it folks. Pretty much about ready to work. We're going to service it. We're going to go through and do the wiring. You know, it's going to be a half a day job to get it charging. We're not going to worry about lights, but I am going to go ahead and buy a set of gauges. I want a decent set of good gauges. I want charging. I want to start from the seat, put a new cable on it for the shut off so we can kill it from there. The starter, I did see that there was a date on it. I can't tell whether it's 12 of 87, 97, or 07. I don't know. I know it's not 17. So anyway, so it's been a long time since that starter was put on there, but it's definitely supposed to be a sealed unit. So it's sealed now. We've got no leaks. It drives good, it runs good, it moves good. You can see on the other side of the block they've done some repair on the block over there too, which don't bother me a bit. You know, repairs are fine as long as repairs are done right. I'm going to work a little while with the tires that are on it and just try to get by. Probably put a seat on it. Okay, so as for the backhoe, I traded for it initially. I think I had about $1,000 in the trade. I spent $166, I think it was, on the power steering pump. I didn't spend anything on the steering cylinder. I didn't spend anything on the other cylinder. I had to put one hose on, actually right there on the outrigger. That was about $50, 40 something bucks, because it's pretty long. And then the starter was about $200. So you figure 1,000, 200, 166, and 50. I'm $1,500 in on a good running, you know, decent operating backhoe that needs some tires. And I'm sure, like I said, the hoses will start popping here and there, and we'll just deal with it as we go. When it pops, shut it off as quick as you can. Don't lose any fluid if you can keep from it, or as much, you know, try not to. And then replace the hose and keep moving. I mean, that's all you can do, and eventually you'll, you know, the weakest are going to go first. And that's the way it is with any equipment. And, you know, I've seen nice new, you know, 5-year-old machines blow hoses. So it's not just old machines that blow hoses. You don't, another thing too, don't run it wide open. And as much as you can, I know it sounds crazy, but I try not to bottom the cylinders out. When I bring the outriggers up, I bring them right to the edge and stop. I don't deadhead them. In other words, I don't bring them up and deadhead them. Every time you deadhead them, you know, the pressure relief valve goes, but it's at max PSI. And if you just bring it up to where it's almost to the top and stop, then you're never deadheading it. And the same way with the loader, I try not to go all the way up. Try not to tilt it, you know, all the way. And the less you do that, the better off you are with an old machine. And because when you deadhead it all the way to the end, it'll if it's going to pop a hose, that's usually when it's going to pop it. You know, it's not necessarily under load. It's usually when you go to stop it, or when it goes to stop itself at the end of its stroke. So anyway, so steering's good, driving good, starting good. We'll get on it, get her done, go to work with it. All right, appreciate everybody watching. Till next time, bye.